Welcome to the Boston Bros Political Podcast. I am Jim Campanini, co-host of the show, with my good friend, a Boston Herald political columnist, Peter Lucas. Peter,
Good to
how
be
are you
here.
doing today?
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Good. This show is coming to you from the InsideLowell studios that is sponsored by WellPoint, the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Now, I know one person in this state whose health might be suffering a little today, and that's going to be Sheriff Tompkins. And Peter, I just have to say, was it coincidence, happenstance, or what? The last show we had, you wore that beautiful hat. We got a lot of comments about that hat in this intervening week. Got a lot of emails. They want to know, where did Peter get that hat? It's the High Sheriff hat from the Sheriff Department of New Hampshire County. So Peter wears that hat last week, and all of a sudden, Sheriff Tompkins is indicted in Massachusetts. And I said, Is Peter auditioning for a job? Is he auditioning for a job?
I'm available. Yeah, I'm available. You tell the governor if she can make the appointment. I'm available.
Show people the back of that hat.
The back of the hat is Deputy Sheriff. Okay. I was awarded this hat when I spoke to the Sheriff's Association some time ago, and by good luck, I kept it. And I'm wearing it now to show that, all is not lost.
I know. Well, some people said, was that a coincidence? Did Peter know something? Did Peter know something in advance? Was he wired in with Leah Foley? She's the U.S. Attorney General's office in Massachusetts. To wear that hat.
Thank God.
Bring us up to date.
Thank God Leah Foley is around.
I know.
She is doing more to keep a touch on political corruption in Massachusetts than the Attorney General ever dreams of doing. And
so bring the audience up to date about just what this story is about, Sheriff Tompkins.
Well, it reads complicated, but it shouldn't be. He had inside information and advanced knowledge of a cannabis operation, and he invested $50,000 into it. The money soared. He was making money, but he left it in there, and unfortunately, it tanked. And the company gave him the $50,000 that he lost back in five steps.
They didn't give it to him. I think he put pressure on them to get. I think that's what this indictment.
Well, they signed the checks.
Yes.
And he got 5 checks back. He got his money back. And it's too bad everybody can't operate that way.
And, I've never met Steve Tompkins, but I question sometimes his intelligence. I mean, you get a check from anybody for $10,000 and deposit it in your checking account. It sets up a red flag, and he got 5 of them.
Well, he's been around a long time, and he's a Boston Democrat, Paul. He was appointed by Governor Deval Patrick in 2013, and he's been reelected several times since then. However, his career may be shortly coming to an end.
Yeah, and he was appointed to fill a previous vacancy in Suffolk County. Right?
Andrea Campbell was the sheriff at that time, and Patrick appointed her Secretary of Public Safety. That's why the opening occurred.
Yeah.
And he was appointed, and he's been there ever since. But I'm afraid not much longer.
Yeah, so he got, you read the indictment. I mean, he's facing up to 30 years, they said, in jail. Probably won't get it. But like you said, Attorney General, U.S. Attorney General Foley, she's not fooling around.
This is Massachusetts. He's lucky if he gets 30 days.
I know this is a federal charge, though.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a federal charge. Well, and totally different.
Well, temporarily, he may be housed in the jail that he runs.
Yeah.
The Suffolk County Detention Center.
So, what is it with the history of sheriffs in Massachusetts? I mean, they don't run out of time in office. They usually do time,
And they probably have too much time in their hands. I mean, Tompkins was not poor. He was making $220,000 a year, which is not bad for a no lifting job and no heavy lifting job, for that matter. And you and I could run the Suffolk County Jail.
Yeah. Well, there was always questions, even when I, was editor at the Sun, and the whole legalized marijuana effort was coming out. We rejected the argument. I mean, I remember writing editorials opposed to the legalization of marijuana, even though more and more groups would come in, and common folk people, wanting this, and it was going to decriminalize it. It was basically to keep more people out of prison, and I could see the medicinal purpose of it. But the rumblings at the time was that who's going to get these licenses to run these camps? Well, if you remember the stories, a lot of them, when they were exposed, they were politicians who were trying to get on the ground floor because they've heard, the money was going to rain down from the sky. Look, and they're all going to become rich. A guy like me, could I invest in it? No way.
As far as I'm concerned, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has made two major mistakes. One was legalizing marijuana. Number two was legalizing sports betting. And both are going to turn out to be disasters. They are. People are hooked on both. And it's too bad. I think they're wrecking society.
So at what point does Sheriff Tompkins resign? Or do you think he's going to battle this all the way through? Now, the other question is, who's going to pay his legal fees? Because even though he did this on his own dime and time as a civilian, he did use his influence as the sheriff to get on the ground floors. So are the taxpayers now going to have to pick up the tab on this?
Let's start a GoFundMe page.
No, but seriously, is he going to tap his campaign fund? Well, he only had like $4,000, I think,
in his campaign.
Yeah. So he's going to have some fundraisers, or I don't know. Is he eligible to get it paid for through his office? I would hope not.
Well, maybe he can get one of these pro bono lawyers to represent him.
But the ones who just got a $20 a week raise.
Yeah. So.
So it's crazy, but that's a good question. That's a good question that maybe some enterprising reporter will ask. Who's going to pay for him to lawyer up and put up a vigorous defense? But these people get caught red-handed. None of them resign. It's amazing. He's probably got a pension at the risk too, right?
Yeah, pension will be at risk. Yes.
Yeah. So. Hopefully he gets a fair trial, and we'll see what happens. There's two sides to every story. We'll see what goes on. But this brings me to another point. A report came out this week out of the State House about Massachusetts getting even more money than it had previously expected this past year from the millionaire's tax, which is now going into its third year. $2 billion. Now, this state loves to cry poor mouth, okay? Not so much on the Charlie Baker, which I thought his financial stewardship was extraordinary. Of course, it was different times, but this budget that we just passed, the record just short of $62 billion, leaves unfunded tens and hundreds of millions of dollars for local projects. I think it was $800 million the governor has put in a escrow because they wanted to see the economy. Of course, they blamed Trump, tariffs, everything else, weakening economy and stuff. Hasn't happened, but they were being cautious, which is always good. But it was a record amount of money that came in the year before from the millionaire's tax, $1.2 million, and then from the casino tax and the sports betting, which was a new one. That's a separate new tax revenue. I mean, the money's coming in from all sides, and yet Massachusetts, if you listen to the politicians, we're broke, okay? Which leads me to my point. This is why State Auditor Diane DeZoglio has to win that lawsuit, okay? She's now filing a private lawsuit to get the ballot question that was passed 2 years ago to audit the legislature.
The ballot question was passed by 72% of the vote.
Yes. She has to win. We have to find out where this money is going.
Look.
What it is, where it's being used.
Look, she can't even get to court. It's been stymied on Beacon Hill by the Democratic establishment. Even the Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, is refusing to represent 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐬𝐿 in court.
Well, she's refusing to represent the people.
But that's
The people voted for it. I mean, 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐬𝐿 put it on the ballot, but the people affirmed it by a 72% vote. I mean, incredible.
now whether it's constitutionally acceptable for the auditor to hire a private attorney to represent her in court is open to question. And
But it's a last resort, isn't it?
she's hired this private firm, and it's going to be paid for by private money. I think she would much better off she hired Leah Foley. Have the U.S. attorney go in there and represent
Well, I
her.
tell you
At
what.
least Leah Foley gets stuff done.
Yeah. Well, isn't that something? There might be chinks in the armor there in the legislature because Leah Foley, I imagine, is sniffing out everything. And if you have all this stuff that the way you do deals at the legislature in a lockbox, okay, you know, that gives even more rise, more suspicions for a U.S. Attorney General to start looking into it, especially if your own state Attorney General turns a blind eye to all this. So,
Andrea Campbell has turned a blind eye to not only political corruption cases, like at the Boston City Council or in the state legislature, and now Sheriff Tompkins, but she can't even represent the state auditor, which doesn't make any sense when you think about it.
yeah. So we're gonna see what that. But I tell you, I think I've become frustrated, just like a lot of citizens of Massachusetts now. I think because this issue is a winning issue for 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐬𝐿 and not for the legislature and the governor of Massachusetts. So we have an audience of one today. Mike Pigeon, the wine butler, is attending today's session. Would you win a lottery ticket to be here today or something?
Well, the deck is stacked against 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐬𝐿. There's no doubt about it. She has no support from the governor, and the Attorney General is against her. The House and Senate leadership is against her. She's all alone on this.
Yeah.
She's all alone on this. And now she has private contributors contributing money to help her pay for this private lawsuit, which I'd be surprised if it goes anywhere. And the Supreme Court knows what side that should be on an issue like this.
Yeah.
The legislature approves all the budgets for all the offices in the state. And Campbell, who sided with the legislature on this auditing question, just got a 9% raise in her budget. So,
Yeah,
why?
but you got that raise to go after, to hire people to file lawsuits against Donald Trump, the president.
Right.
I mean, talk about a waste of time.
Well,
And they pose it as, and even the Democrat Boston Globe, they keep writing, that she's trying to defend both the First Amendment, the Constitution, the people against Donald Trump, because he's just taking away our constitutional freedoms. You know what? Leave it up to me and every other citizen of Massachusetts. If we think that we're losing our rights, I think we can take care of it on our own.
Well, we have a one-party state. What are you going to do? Everybody elected official is a Democrat. 9 congressional members of the House are Democrats. The 2 senators are Democrats. We mentioned the sheriffs.
Yeah.
We have 14 sheriffs in the state. 12 are Democrats. And the 2 who are Republicans are lucky to hold the seat. Mm-hmm. And outside of that, we have no Republicans. We have no opposition party. It's a one-party state. So it's kind of funny that the governor of Massachusetts, where gerrymandering was invented, is critical of the governor of Texas. for gerrymandering Texas.
Well, it brings us to the next issue, gerrymandering, which was, you wrote a column about this past week in the Boston Herald.
Gerrymandering was invented in Massachusetts by Governor Eldred Gerry in 1812.
Yeah. And as you correctly pointed out, and it was very insightful and educational to people who are interested in American history. I mean, Governor Gerry, he had a very accomplished career, and yet he is known for something that has been given a negative connotation, gerrymandering. I mean, he went on to become vice president of the United States, right?
Right. He was not only that, he was a founding father.
He
signed the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
Became vice president, governor of Massachusetts. He was a diplomat.
Yeah.
And he's remembered for gerrymandering.
Yes, yeah. So let's talk about this, because now this came about because the Democrats in Texas fled the state. They came to Massachusetts, Illinois, New York, rather than stay in Texas.
Did you see the way the governor welcomed these representatives from Texas?
Which you wrote in another column.
Well, you think they were illegal immigrants. She hugged them
open arms, hugged them.
Welcome to Massachusetts, and get on the payroll, and whatever.
But as I did more research about this, because now Governor Newsom in California, he wants to do a whole new redistricting, even though California already had started the process, a citizen panel. So that's in the news, because he wants to counter what the Republican majority in Texas is doing their redistricting. And he's trying to bring this forward in California to counter, if the Republicans gain 5 seats, say in Texas, he wants to counter by getting 5 Democratic seats to offset it in California. But there's a big difference. If people look at they just react to the headlines instead of look at this. I mean, the Texas redistricting was court ordered because the Supreme Court ruled that the districts they have in place are unconstitutional because the demographics have changed. Okay, and when the law was written, for Texas law, it didn't take into consideration some of the new minorities in the minority districts, So they're being basically trying to redo the district lines to put them into constitutional, according to the constitutional process. They're legalizing these districts, and that's basically why they're redoing it. Now, it is a political process, as we've learned in Massachusetts.
Right.
Go to California. Newsom wants the Democrats in the legislature, which they control in California, to redo the lines when there's already been a commission, a citizen task force commission that's been working for several years on a redistricting map for California, which is going before the voters of California to be ratified. He wants to usurp that whole process. See, there's a big difference here. What Texas and Governor Abbott is doing is totally legal by the book that was ordained by the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court of Texas, which basically nullified the redistricting map. Newsom, isn't he doing a lot like what a tyrant would do, a dictator would do?
Perhaps, but my main question is to Governor Newsom, what does he use on his hair? I mean, he had got terrific. He's got hair out of the 50s.
I think it's brilliant.
Everybody used to do the DA, what do they call it, a duck's ass back then?
Does anybody under 50 know what Brill cream is?
I don't know.
If you go to a kid 25,
But he's great hair.
But so
he would be the hairiest president we ever had.
So I think that Newsom is facing. I think he's going to run into a backlash from the people, because when they learn more about it, they set up a citizen panel. They did the maps.
Jim, there's no people there. They're all illegal immigrants.
Yeah. So we'll see how that turns
This is
out.
California you're talking
but
about.
for them to give all this stuff on Texas, Texas is violating the law. No, they're not violating the law. They're trying to come into. They're trying to equalize the law according to a court order where California started a process that was fine, citizens doing it, citizen redistricting, and now Newsom doesn't like what he sees. He wants to basically create more majority districts for.
My advice to him would be don't mess with Texas.
Yeah. so anyway, and then you got the Massachusetts scenario. Oh, but how about Governor Pritzker from Illinois? He welcomes the Texas Democrats to his state, and yet Illinois has been in court for years over their redistricting, which is the worst in
Not only
America.
that, all the Democrats like Elizabeth Warren and the whole gang, how they're critical of billionaires. He's one billionaire they're not critical of.
Yeah,
because he happens to be a Democrat.
Yeah, unbelievable. I forgot there was one talk show host who even said to him in an interview, says, how can you be criticizing the Republicans in Texas when you yourself in Illinois has some of the worst redistricting maps and districts in America? You know, so it's crazy. They got one district that goes 90 miles through 6 counties,
right.
Cuts out all the minorities.
Governor Jerry would have liked it.
Yeah, Jerry would have liked it. So that's another story that we have to watch. But the big thing this week is on Friday, President Trump meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin in the great state of Alaska to try to resolve this Ukraine-Russia war. What's the prognosis on this? If you had to lay odds, anything going to be resolved?
Who would have thought that they would meet in Alaska, of all places? Usually it's in Davos, Switzerland, or, in some lush resort someplace, Tehran, maybe even, like they did during World War II. But Alaska,
I think Sarah Palin set it up.
I think Alaska is fascinating for this meeting, mainly because if you look at the map, Vladimir Putin flies directly from Moscow over Russia right into Alaska. He doesn't fly into any other country where he could be arrested as a war criminal.
I know.
I have his plane shot down over France or Germany or something like that. But it's directly from Moscow to Anchorage. I assume Anchorage.
So, according to my American history and world history, Russia owned Alaska at one point. Right.
The Russian Tsars owned Alaska.
Wasn't it Seward's, at the time, it was Seward's Folly, right?
Charles Seward was the Secretary of State, 1867.
Yeah.
And he proposed that the U.S. buy it from the Russian Tsars who were hurting for money.
Yes, they needed cold cash. And yet it's called the Folly because
they made fun of it.
Very controversial. They made fun of it. Who
ridiculed them left and right.
Yes. And it turned out to be a great acquisition, not only for the minerals, the people, but the strategic location of it. So what do you think that Putin might ask Trump to sell him Alaska, to sell him back Alaska?
I think they're probably going a moose hunt.
And then they can resolve it. Yeah.
Over moose meat. I don't know.
Do you think anything substantive is going to come out of this meeting? I think Putin has been stringing Trump along, and Trump has gotten a little more fiery and critical of Putin in the last several weeks. The war rages on. A lot of civilians in Ukraine are being killed, and a lot of troops on both sides. I mean, but seriously, what's going to come out of this meeting?
I don't know. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict what Trump will do. He wants to end the war. The killing is senseless. And Putin is a criminal. He's the aggressor. He started this war. He invaded Ukraine, thinking he could gobble it up. And the Ukrainians, stood up to him and still are. And Putin has become an outlier. He's been, criticized by practically every country in the world. And his only friends are the Chinese and the North Koreans. That's not much of a, circle of friends. I think he's on the defensive now. And I think if Trump pulls this off, it'll be almost like a miracle. because he stopped wars. He stopped several wars already, and they talk about the Nobel Peace Prizes in the air and so on and so forth. Who knows?
I don't think Trump's doing it for the Nobel Peace Prizes. He knows he's never going to get a fair share.
No, he's never going to get a fair share. No, I agree.
And if I were him and they gave it to him, I wouldn't even show up. Okay, I mean it's just a liberal organization. I mean Greta Thunberg. When they gave Greta, didn't they give Greta Thunberg a Nobel Peace Prize or something? The 12-year-old who, but and Obama got one for doing nothing. So, but I think that
look at it this way: Trump is holding all the cards in this.
Well,
he can give Ukraine much more weaponry than we already have given them, but for Putin, in a sense, is coming to the United States. I know it's Alaska, but it's part of the United States. For him to come to the United States and not a third country to meet with Donald Trump tells me that Trump has got the upper hand.
I think that that Donald Trump is no longer naive about Russian ambitions and the Putin, who is a megalomaniac, really. When you look into his eyes, even when you see photos of him and stuff, the guy doesn't care about his own people, the economy that is causing a lot of Russians to suffer, and the troops and military personnel who are dying on the battlefield over what I see as just a waste. It's just something to add to his resume for Mother Russia. And
he's a mobster.
But I don't know what the end game is, the point where he finally capitulates, because I don't think he ever will.
Well,
he's like I said, he doesn't care how many people he hurts, how many people he kills.
His daughter has even turned on him.
Yeah. So at some point, it's just going to come to the realization that this guy is just going to prolong this and continue it going. And what is the answer? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
But knowing Donald Trump, a very successful realtor, he's liable to say, Vladimir Putin, Vlad, how much will you give me for Alaska if you want it back?
Well, yes, Mr. Pigeon.
Trump by 2032 wants at least one or two groundbreakings for Russia.
Nobody's going to go to a hotel in Russia. Who goes to Russia anyways? Russia is like Bulgaria with a couple of nuclear bombs. That's what it's like. It's like Bulgaria. Ever been to Bulgaria? I mean, come on.
Hey, my doctor's from Bulgaria.
Well, that's why he's here.
I know. He's a great doctor, great guy. But is Bulgaria that bad? But you're right.
It's not Lowell. Put it there.
You're right. Trump did resolve the Armenian and Azerbaijani conflict. I didn't realize it's been raging for 30 years below the radar. What was the New York Times writing about that? And here's a guy, I didn't even know what was going on, and he's bringing these two leaders to the White House, resolved it. Now I'm reading about it all and how this thing has been going on.
He stopped the potential war between India and Pakistan.
Yeah, the Congo, the Republic of Congo.
He stopped the fighting there.
Yeah. I mean, the guy has got the touch, He's a regular Winston Churchill.
Oh, he'll never get credit. Never get credit for that. No.
But so hopefully something will come through. But already I see Zelensky,
if you see Donald Trump leave the Alaskan summit smoking a cigar, then you'll know he's a Winston Churchill wannabe.
But here's the thing of this whole process. I mean, Trump is meeting with Putin. Zelensky says that he should be at the table representing Ukraine. He doesn't think that, he opens Trump up to criticism because, he says, he should be advocating for Ukraine, but he doesn't believe that he will. And Zelensky is saying that he won't give up any land to Russia. So it's going to be a dicey negotiation as far as I'm concerned. But we'll see what happens. It's better than doing nothing and sitting on your hands. So that's that. So The other thing that comes to mind, Peter, is Maura Healey. She's in California. Governor Maura Healey.
Yeah, she's in California this week raising money. And she's got a fundraiser in San Francisco, another one in Palo Alto, and the third one someplace else. And there's $1,000 a person affairs. And
Is she feeling? Is she feeling the pressure? Like she's got a tough campaign ahead. I mean,
no, I think she's looking around at the disaster that the Democratic Party has become nationally, and I figure she thinks that she could probably play a role in the national reemergence of the Democratic Party if it ever comes back. There's such a dearth of leadership there that the leadership role in the Democratic Party is up for grabs.
Well, you don't think Zohran Mamdani is the leader of the future for the Democrat Party, the perceived new mayor for the New York City?
Right, he's going to lead the party right down the drain. You know, and
It's funny how our U.S. Senator, and we talked about this on our last show, Elizabeth Warren, has given this guy an unvarnished endorsement. He is the visionary of the Democrat Party. He hates America, wants to defund the police, socialism,
state-run grocery stores.
state-run grocery stores, and she has not. No one has even touched her yet about. Well, I did see an editorial in the New York Post basically calling her wacky, but no local newspapers really in Massachusetts. Did the Herald do anything on that?
I don't
Editorial?
recall. I don't know.
But even the governor of New York, the senator from New York, okay, both senators, okay, and Congress people have distanced themselves from Mamdani, and now they're saying they're urging people to vote against them, although the alternatives aren't very good either, okay, because they realize what a disaster it would be for New York City if he's elected.
This is like Chuck Schumer coming into Boston endorsing Josh Kraft. You know,
Ooh, good one. I like that.
well,
Yeah.
maybe that's a column, huh?
That's a column, yeah. So anyway, that's another thing that Elizabeth Warren, why she's the Teflon Don of politics. I mean, says those things and gets away with it, and with all the stuff that's going on with Trump going after the colleges, Harvard capitulating, MIT capitulating, Brown University capitulating because of anti-Semitism, and she endorses a guy who outright talks in public about from the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free,
Which means killing Jews.
killing Jews. I mean, he's all for Hamas and supporting it and its vision. I mean, I can't believe that she gets away with it, but she does. It's too bad.
Well, in Massachusetts, it certainly does. She gets away with much more than that.
Yeah. So anything? Oh, when are you going to write your book about the Biden administration? Seems like Oh, you weren't an insider. I'm sorry.
You know, the best book that could ever come out of this is a book by Donald Trump, because he's turned out to be the most interesting politician in the 20th century in this country. It's just amazing, his accomplishments. Who is going to buy a book by Joe Biden? Are you going to buy it?
No.
No, okay.
Why?
Who's going to buy a book by Kamala Harris? Raise your hand. And who's going to buy a book by Gene? And who's going to buy a book by the press secretary,
You
who
think
covered up for him for years?
if they were to do a bronze statue like the New England Patriots did of Tom Brady, and they unveiled it last week, what do you think that it would look like, the statue of Joe Biden that could be maybe placed at Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, where he spent most of his time?
It would be a statue of Joe Biden shaking hands with Joe Biden. That would be the statue. And there'd be a third one of Joe Biden clapping and cheering.
Yeah. I think, but who cares? I mean, his former press secretary writing a book, tell all what? She didn't say anything when she was except lies and cover-ups and stuff, and to the American people every day. I mean, it's not healthy.
I'm not going to buy the Joe Biden book. I'm going to wait for the movie.
We'll see. It'll be a series. Two parts.
Who's going to play the main role? Who played Joe Biden in the movie?
Well, Steve Colbert is available.
Oh, there you go. He's looking for a job. He could do that. Yeah.
So I got my last thing. I want to close the show with. It's funny how things work in cycles and circles. What goes around, come around. We've heard that. Sometimes it gets trite, but in politics, you always got to be. You always got to be, looking over your shoulder, I think, especially when you've done wrong, because, administrations change, times change. There's a little more perspective, a little more scrutiny sometimes. History changes, okay? Miranda Devine has a column in the New York Post this morning. I think everybody should read it because it really captures the essence of all the way the Democrats went after Trump in 2020, manufactured all this lawfare. Even Maura Healey filed 100 lawsuits against Donald Trump. Whatever happened? You think the Globe would do a story about the 100 lawsuits she filed? Nothing ever happened from any of them. Wasted a lot of money, energy, and everything. Now you got, Attorney General Campbell doing the same thing and stuff. But the headline is, Trump turns tables on Democrats after years of lawfare. Now it's time to hold them accountable. That's the headline of the story. But this is my quote of the week, and it's basically from a line from Miranda Devine's column. As the saying goes, she wrote, if you come at the king, you best not miss. Think of all the lawsuits. She identifies like 10 lawsuits, but not only political lawsuits. They went after him financially. Letitia James, Adam Schiff, trying to bankrupt the guy, his reputation, his hotels. Letitia James won the $454 million lawsuit against Trump, saying they overinflated his hotels. Even law experts who are affiliated with the Democratic Party said they didn't give that lawsuit any chance of proceeding to a court. But in New York City, she masterminded the jury pool, the judges, got it all the way through, and now that's an appeal.
Well, to simplify all of that, with due respect to Miranda, payback is a bitch.
Yes, it is. Because now Letitia James and Adam Schiff, who just did everything he could to investigate past that, that he was involved in the Steele dossier, the Russian misinformation, everything that proved false, okay? And he got away with it and stuff. Well.
And he was a Framingham native.
Oh, was he?
No, he's from Framingham.
Okay. So Letitia James and California Senator Adam Schiff, they are now the subject of two federal grand juries in Virginia and Maryland looking into not what they did to Trump, but their own cases, mortgage fraud. Okay, bank fraud, wire fraud. They lied on federal applications for mortgages to improve their chances of getting lower interest rates. Gee, couldn't we all have used something like that at the time? But they got away with it, bought these properties, okay, got deals on it. So, it's amazing how, and these are very serious charges against both of them and stuff. They're going to subpoena their records. They're going to see who they were involved in. How did they get these favorable terms when they shouldn't have? Okay, and we're going to see what happens. All right.
Don't do what I do. Do what I say.
Yeah. So these are criminal indictments. And Miranda Devine writes about it today and tells you how these people are really privileged. They took their privilege to another level, thinking they were untouchable. Well, you know what? Haven't we heard it time and again, both Democrats and Republicans? No one is above the law. So let's see what happens.
Are you dating Miranda Devine?
No, but I tell you, I listen to her podcast. They're very, very good.
Well, she should listen. She should listen to this podcast.
Yeah, and have you pointed out time and again, she was a Boston Herald reporter.
Yeah, she
at one
was,
time.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we let her get away. She's done a tremendous job. So she might be taking a post in the Trump administration someday. Who knows? But finally, I want to say, Peter, this is not it's an anniversary date, not a very good one, but 48 years ago, serial killer David Berkowitz was captured.
You covered it.
No, I didn't cover it, but Jimmy Breslin did. If you remember, Berkowitz wrote him the letter,
Right.
letters from jail and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Fascinating story, but they finally captured him, and he was jailed and put to rest. So the rest is history. So what's on your agenda for this week? Now, Peter Lucas writes 3 columns a week in the Boston Herald. They're must-reads, you know?
I'll be working on my 4th. as soon as we leave.
What's on the docket?
What's on the docket? Golf, I hope, if it doesn't get too hot.
Okay, but you can't give us any sneak peek on any columns?
Well, we did a column that ran today about my suggestion to Josh Kraft, running for mayor of Boston, is to get his father to change the name of the New England Patriots back to the Boston Patriots to show some real enthusiasm for the city of Boston. We have the Boston Red Sox, we have the Boston Celtics, we have the Boston Bruins. Bring back the Boston Patriots.
Beautiful.
If the Connecticut Sun
I don't know, but
Oh, they'll change the name.
we have the lacrosse team is going to be the Boston something or other. So
Yeah, Boston. Yeah, and what's the Revolution? Are they-
that's New England Revolution.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, what's wrong with
Soccer
Boston?
team.
You know,
Nothing.
well,
Nothing.
it boosts his campaign and show
Sure.
how committed he is to the city of Boston.
Yeah.
Mayor Wu can't criticize that.
No, we can't. All right. So
That's what we're working on.
I still want you to write a Biden book, but anyway, we'll see. Okay. Well, until next week.
I
we hope you
should.
have a great one.
I gave Biden a copy of my book when he was running for president one time or other. I forget where. So he owes me a copy. Maybe he'll give me his book as a gift.
You've heard it right from Peter Lucas. Okay. Until next week. Have a great one.